Let me kick off by saying that I am a great reader. I am amazing at reading. Fortunately, I've had some good schooling. I've gone to good schools from an early stage in life, and I've been blessed with quite an amazing brain. And reading is something that I am good at doing. However, for most of my life, in fact, all of my life, I've hated reading. I'm more of a numbers person. Put me together with numbers, and then you'll see magic. But reading, sitting down, looking at a book, looking at the words, it's been quite boring for me, and I think it's been a misguided thing for me because I didn't really get into reading. The only reading that I'd get into was the reading that I'd have to do for schooling, for English, for Afrikaans, and the likes. But for me to just want to read something on my own, but then put me in front of a TV screen and show me National Geographic, show me some cool stuff, and I'll be immersed in it for days. I know I'm the type of person who I don't like TV much now. Like I watch movies and stuff, but TV, general, everyday programming, not really my thing. But I'm the type of person who, if you put it in front of a TV and there's a show that's playing and I don't even know it, I get so immersed in it. That stuff really gets my attention, such that the people I'm sitting with, I might not even be able to hear them. Same happens with movies and so on. But then, I do enjoy movies. And I do spend a lot of time watching a lot of YouTube documentaries, learning a lot from there. A lot of documentaries, even on TV as well. There's some channels where I get to learn a lot of stuff, stuff about science, stuff about politics, stuff about things that are happening around the world, stuff about cars, because I love cars, I like the mechanics of it and all that stuff. But reading, even if I'm opening an article, I was so happy that there's an alternative to having to read about cars. There's like videos and TV programs that they make where they explain everything they have to explain about the car. Because I'm not gonna sit down and read that stuff. That's just not for me. But lately, stop blinking. Lately, I've gotten to understand the value of reading. I've gotten to change my mind, take an entire 180 on my viewpoint towards reading. Reading is important. As much as there's a lot that you can learn from, long form documentaries, maybe movie versions of certain books, or certain summaries of certain books. I think that the act, the practice of reading itself opens up your mind in a way that I think nothing else does. It allows you to enter different worlds. It allows you to, jeez, kick to the tripod thing. Jeez, my bad. Let me just fix that. There I am. It allows you to explore certain corners of your brain that almost nothing else allows you to. You experience, or you get introduced to a level of imagination that you did not know you have. So the things that you normally see on a TV screen when you're watching the characters that have been chosen, the dialogue, the script, whatever, and you're watching it, the people that you see there, someone else has created that image for you. They've sort of created what imagination you should have. However, when you're reading something, you then have to recreate these creatures, recreate these characters, recreate the settings for yourself in your brain. And I feel that ever since I actually put my heart to it and actually decided I want to become better at this, I want to become a reader, I want to learn more stuff from reading. And I think it also comes from having done or watched so much documentaries from YouTube channels, watched so much podcasts, watched so much educational content online, that I'm like, I want something different. And I found that in reading books. And I just want to implore more people to read books. And I think that it is important that people start reading books at a young age. It is very important. And I'll maybe struggle to give a compelling reason for people to actually start reading. Perhaps I'll struggle to give enough benefits for people to start reading. But trust me, if you find something that you have some sort of interest in, maybe someone you know has read it, maybe it's just a small book that you can get your hands on, maybe whatever it can be, something that is going to allow you to read it all throughout from finish to end without stopping. I think that might set you on a path of amazingness, because you start to read and you start to imagine the things that are happening, and you start to imagine the world differently. You start to understand the world differently. There's a lot of knowledge that has been left in books. There's a lot of courage. As crazy as that sounds, there's a lot of courage that has been left in books. There's a lot of secrets that are written there. Your interpretation of one book may not be exactly the same as mine. As much as, yes, perhaps the point that we get from it is the same, but our interpretation of it may not be different. If you think about it, we'll go to the same class, have the same teacher, write the same test, but we won't get the same marks. And that's pretty much what happens with books. We'll read the same book, but my interpretation of it, because my imagination bank, my imagination space, my realm of creativity is different from the next person. And I think that is where reading activates that. And it not only activates the creativity within your mind, it also then starts to activate the creativity within the world space, within space time. You start to see the world differently, and you start to want to create things. You start to want to see things become created. What am I even saying? I know what I'm saying, but I just don't know how to portray it, how to say it to you. But what I do want to say, if all of this has been confusing, the main point I am making here is that people should start reading. Let us try and get little kids to get into reading. Let's get them into writing as well. Let's get them into using their minds to be creative, create new worlds, create new possibilities. That is what has led to most, if not all, of the things we sit here and enjoy today. People who have read and then reimagined, well, imagined first, and then reimagined the world differently in order for them to create what we have now, the things that we enjoy now, the luxuries, the simplicities is not the word I'm looking for. Life being simple. The word that we experience now has been created by people who, in most cases, have read a bunch of stuff. And because they've read that, there's so much knowledge that they have, but most importantly, is that there's so much creativity that they have created within themselves in order to now reimagine and recreate the world differently for us to enjoy it. Conveniences. That was the word I was looking for. All the conveniences we have now, most of the conveniences we have now, is because other people have reimagined things differently and then created a world that they want to see, created solutions to the problems that we have. A lot of the issues that we have in a lot of places, and I'm going to speak based on where I come from, which is South Africa. A lot of the issues that we have are not new to us. They're not things that are unique to us. They are things that we can solve. But if we are sitting here just looking at bums and music and dances on social media, instead of actually reading and finding out what has happened in the past, where do we come from? How have things been changed? Whatever empires have been built, how have they been built? Whatever stories have been created, how have they been created? Whatever superheroes have been thought of, however, whatever fictional characters, whatever real characters that have ever existed, have ever been imagined, how have they navigated things? How have they created solutions? And therefore, how can I create a better world? How can I change things for the better? How can I help the next person? Reading is important. I see that now, and I wonder how much more I would have done in my life had I started reading a lot earlier. But I'm happy that I'm reading now, and I'd really like to implore more people to start reading. As much as I'm doing YouTube, but I'm also starting to write a book now. I'm reading more books. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing. Just please start reading. Just read something. Start reading. Start small. Start simple. Don't try and go into something very complicated, very technical. Just start small. Start simple and progress from there. And you'll see what it does for you. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you, and I'll see you next time.